Welcome back to another episode of the Life's Ambition podcast. Today is part one of part two with a conversation with Joshua Gale. In this part, he's going to talk about all the different aspects of the music world. Hope you enjoy. Josh, how are we doing today, man?
Good, Drew. Good, Drew. Thank you for having us on.
Of course. Thank you for being part of the show. I think this one's going to be super cool. Like I'm very excited to talk about all of it and both the world of music and the jewelry business. I know that's a newer thing that you guys just launched, and I'd love to kind of start first with, how did you kind of get into music? Were your parents always in the industry at all? Did you know a lot of friends that took like band class and that's kind of your introduction? How did you get introduced to it?
Yeah. So when I was younger, obviously sports were a big part of my life and stayed a part of my life for a long time. It's how I ended up here in Charleston, South Carolina. But when I was younger, I got injured and tore an ACL as a sixth grader.
That's brutal.
Yeah. So as a sixth grader, the youngest of three, I had two older brothers. Having an injury like that was pretty terrible. And so, I was the kid that saved every birthday card from grandma and grandpa. And so, I had quite a bit of savings at that point, and put it all towards a new guitar, a guitar amp, probably one way bigger than I needed to have. It was probably almost as tall as I was.
How else can you be a rock star?
How else? And so I eventually even bought a PA system because I just, got to have everything, to succeed. So
what is a PA system, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, that's what the microphone, the speakers, all that kind of stuff that you're talking through and singing through.
Gotcha.
And public announcement system.
Gotcha.
And, I think that's what, nobody checked me on that. So purchased all that. I still actually have the PA system Yamaha built that to this day still works, and they don't make things like they used to because this thing is just a workhorse.
Nice.
Gave the guitar amp away, and so got that. Learned how to play music. Eventually got back into sports. Put music on the back burner. Got to college and desired to start playing again. I took a guitar with me to college, and sports can be extremely difficult, and it proved to be difficult, and I got into a season of depression because my identity was being called into question. Are you even good enough to be an athlete? I mean, you even came to school here. You made the giant decision to become a football player in college, playing Division I football. And anybody who's ever played, it is one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
And it was, for somebody who was great in high school, it was a rude awakening to college. Now, were these guys stronger? No. Were they much bigger? Yes. I had the advantage of being a deep snapper, so it helped me to get to this level of football, but trying to compete on the offensive line. I'm 6'1", 280 pounds. They were all 6'3", 340 pounds. So,
those are beasts.
I had a crash course in physics really quickly, and I had an incredible time. Had the opportunity to travel to Florida. The team played against Tim Tebow, played against Miami,
really?
Played against Hawaii twice. There were some incredible things about it. But the depression grew when my identity became in jeopardy. And so I got out the guitar and I was lamenting like anybody's ever lamented before. I think if you want to look at like what is lamenting, read Psalms. David would lament and be like, oh, why me? Why me? Why me? Mm-hmm. But the great thing about Psalms is he never stayed lamenting. He came out of it and there was joy. And so for me, it was like writing music to try to help get myself out of the lamenting, out of the depression of why me? Why am I out here alone? I'm in a foreign land, way away from anything. My parents are divorced. There's no room to go home to. It was a very depressing time for me. Music was like the thing that like helped pull me out of that. And then I built some incredible relationships. And then I got involved in an organization called Campus Crusade, and had some great mentorship through that. And of course they needed, worship leaders and all that kind of stuff. So then I just started playing more.
Yeah.
And then I'd learned different instruments to help out as much as I could. Then I met who is now my best friend, Sean Monahan, who's like an incredible musician. Like he makes most musicians just want to stop, like, and make you feel like a hobbyist. And so we started writing music together, playing music, and then, the rest is history. As far as that, we took a hiatus from playing as we were growing our families. He's got 2 kids and a great marriage to his wife Christine, and then Melissa and I got busy. This year we'll have in August have our 5th child. So,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. So that busyness kind of, was a learning curve for us as well, as how to be married, how to have children,
Yeah.
and a career and all those things, which, we have to be so graceful with each other and ourselves. And our wives are watching us grow up. And and that's a part of marriage too, is your fiance is going to become your wife, and she's going to get to watch you grow up, and you
Hmm.
guys are going to grow up together, and you have to be so graceful with one another. And so then Sean and I, a couple of years ago, got said, "Hey, Sean, like, I think it's time, man. We just finished what we started." And I've been itching to record and play music again, and let's get the band back together. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Dude, say less." And so we did. And then we got the attention of a label, and got the opportunity to sign a recording contract
That's
with them.
awesome.
And yeah, and so we're still working through that. We have a new song coming out next month that is a lot of fun, called Miss Carolina.
Very
And
cool.
it's not just for people who live in Carolina, but it's about people who are just ready, like they've just dream. This next step of marriage is just the biggest dream in their life, and they can't keep it in any longer, and they're just trying to convince this woman, I got a plan. My plan for Melissa was, I'm going to follow God. If you want to
Yeah.
follow me,
Hmm.
I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but just, know that I want to follow God in this. And she didn't fall for it, but she, it was convincing enough for her to say
Yeah.
yes. And, um, so, that's, got music started and kept me in music. And it's just, I never wanted to quit. I didn't let my identity become wrapped up in sports or music or my career or whatever it was. We're going to fail or have bad days at all of those things. And
Hmm.
nobody's like your super cheerleader in any of those things. And what's the most important thing is being present with your spouse and being present with your children, if you've got children. Um, and so that's, we're trying to find the balance of doing all those things and getting to do all those things, while not robbing everybody of us. Because let's be honest, once you get married, you'll find out quickly your wife does not want to share you.
Yeah.
And why would she? She said yes to
Exactly.
being your spouse, your best friend, your, everything, apart from God. God won in your marriage too. And she will not want to share you, and she will let you know as soon as she feels like she's having to share you too much. You will let her know when you feel like you are tired of sharing her with the children or sharing her with whatever she's doing.
Hmm.
And it's part of that, and it's how to tell each other that without kicking and screaming too much, but just saying, I think I met my limit of sharing you.
Yeah.
I need really quality time with you, like ASAP, and I need to know that you're doing it because you want to be with me. So
I
for
totally
us,
understand that where you're coming from. I had so me and my fiance, we've gotten to that point a few times, and I don't know how we've gotten to the point where we are today. I started off, we had an ice cream date. That was our very first date. Didn't know it was a date. I was completely oblivious to a lot of these hints that she was dropping of wanting to go on a date. And I ended it with a fist bump. That's I just said, have a great rest of your night. We closed the ice cream shop down, gave her a fist bump, and that was it. And I think about it now, just like all the memories and what we share. It's
yeah,
been such a roller coaster. I'm super grateful for it. And I'm sure you're the same way with your wife. Is like you guys were there for each other at the very beginning, and
yeah,
so obviously all these things have popped up, but you guys are still each other's person, and so you guys need each other at certain points. So 100%
yeah,
understand that.
yeah. No, my wife did not want to read between the lines either. Our first date ended with a expensive dinner because I really wanted to impress her.
Yeah.
And I was just praying like I had enough money in my checking account back then. And um, dessert was Frosty from Wendy's because it was a mini
Nice.
Frosty was $1, and I knew that would probably go in, and I knew she wasn't super hungry either, because she went all in at dinner, right? And I'm like, I'm just gonna do a salad, like trying
Yeah.
to less expensive option, and
Let her get the
but
steak.
yes, she was just like, okay, we had a great time, and we had a Frosty, and she's like, wow, okay, I'm just gonna be honest, like I had a really good time. Do you think we could do this again? And she was like, she's not waiting for me to like ask her out again, call her back up or anything. Like she needed to know like, where's this going right now?
That's awesome.
And so I said, yeah, I would love to do this again, like really soon. So
Yeah,
that's
love
how
the
it went.
direct.
Yes, ice cream, great. So and so um, for the jewelry, I got into jewelry several years ago. It's another creative outlet. So the things that if I'm honest with myself that I'm great at is sales and marketing. I've been in digital marketing since 2011, and building websites and social media and ads and copy, graphic design, everything. Jewelry pulls like all of that into one place.
Oh yeah.
And it's such a creative outlet. And then I realized as I was doing it, and I've now designed hundreds of engagement rings, and get to sit down with for an hour with either a young man or a couple and help them understand what their expectations are for this ring that they don't want to settle for. Like if we're not settling for a spouse, why would we settle for an engagement ring?
Mm.
So everything's on the table, and I'm educating them. Like, let me tell you everything that you could possibly do with an engagement ring, and how what we can change. So almost like a Mr. Potato Head, we can do this from this, this from this, this from this, this from
Yeah.
this. And people are like, whoa, 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 hold on, that's a lot of options. I'm saying, okay, well, let me help you explain what style you are, and let me help you explain what cut of diamond complements you the most, and let me help you explain what metal color and quality complements your skin tone the most. Let's start there, and then let's add on simple and different
Mhm.
attributes. Is this person a simplistic person? They want a solitaire ring. Is this person, do they like vintage? Do they like multi-stones? Do they like pave? Do they like, there's like so many options. And on our website, there's actually a tab called Ring Source. Ring Source, sorry, Ring Sense. Ring Sense is kind of like you upload several photos of rings that you like,
Yeah.
and then it's going to tell you exactly what um, style you are, and then you can go on and continue through the rest of the form to figure out exactly what it is that you um, want most out of a ring, and it might also show you that you don't know as much about engagement rings as you thought you did.
There
And so
it
you
is
can,
amazing
yeah,
how much goes into it. Like it sounds like a Pinterest board, but then you can actually find out what you want in
and
that.
communicate it and
Yeah.
communicate it, right? I think the biggest thing for people is like they know what they want, but they can't communicate it, and then they stop at some point when they realize like they don't understand what I want.
Yeah.
And so it's like helping people communicate exactly what they want is really a big part of it. But then, helping them also set expectations for the rest of their marriage, giving them resources to be successful in their marriage. Marriage is extremely difficult, so difficult that one of every two, almost one of every three, somewhere between those two, fail with
Mhm.
marriage. The world wants to pull you away from each other. Um, Children want all of your attention. Your career wants your attention. Your hobbies want your attention. Your friends want to validate your emotions rather than tell you to seek peace and to reconcile with your wife immediately, as fast as you could possibly do it.
Yeah.
You have to realize that you're going into a gauntlet that it's you, your spouse, and God. And if you take God out of the equation, it's even harder.
Mhm.
Even for Christians, it's still one of every two, almost one of every three. Because when God does not sit on the throne in the center of your marriage, then he's there, but he's like not on the throne, and he's not in the middle. Everything is out of alignment. And when everything's out of alignment, eventually you can hear this. You can something will always get robbed. It cannot be the same thing all the time. If it's your health, man, you'll pack on some pounds, or something will eventually start to wear on you, or you'll get extremely weak, or just whatever it may be. And it'll catch up to you. And if it's your marriage, your spouse will begin kicking and screaming, or they'll become extremely distant. And one day you'll see how much of a distance there is, and they'll tell you, or it's too late.
Yeah.
If it's your relationship with God, everything else is out of alignment. Like that's the thing. That's the thing that keeps everything into alignment. And so it's really important to get a perspective on all those things. And there's actually a part in Scripture, I believe it's in Leviticus, or Deuteronomy, that when a couple first gets married, the man is not allowed to go to war. He's not even allowed to leave the town, because he's supposed to focus on his marriage for the first year, entirely on his marriage. There's so much wisdom in that, of saying you've got a learning curve now. And if we're honest, as men, the learning curve, while we want to act like we have everything together, that learning curve can trip us up a lot.
Yeah.
We get very irritable. We can't figure something out very quickly. We get frustrated, and it's really important that we're not trying to start this incredible, huge career and climb the corporate ladder, or do whatever we're seeking to do, but that we'll really spend time focusing on marriage. And it's not selfish. It's not like, if your friends are complaining that you left them all behind, it's like, nah, dude, like this is pretty biblical to
Yeah.
go and figure out
Yeah.
how to do this, because you're going to be her spouse for the rest of her life. And God gave you the responsibility. He didn't give anybody else the responsibility to take care of that woman. He gave it to you.
Hmm.
And that was her emotional needs. That was her physical needs. That was everything that she expects from you. God gave you that responsibility. Now, it's her responsibility to find fulfillment for every need that she has in God.
Mm.
Everything else, when we find fulfillment in God, everything else gets to be a garnish. It gets to
Yeah.
be a cherry on top. And we could treat each other so much better when God is fulfilling every need. It's like my spouse, he's so amazing right now, cherry on top. My spouse, he's so consumed with whatever right now. It's okay. God is fulfilling every need that I have. So it's that balance of understanding that, and giving each other so much grace until we come back around. So,
Yeah.
and realizing it ourselves.
And I think this is like a really beautiful story that you got going on here. And I think that's super powerful about your faith and your relationship with pretty much all entities that you're a part with. And I'd love to kind of jump back to the beginning, and where you had that kind of bridge between, or almost this divide between D1 football and kind of moving away from it, because that is a really hard position to be in. Like, you did this sport for most of your life, and then you're at this divide about what you want to choose. One of my buddies, he played D1 soccer at Belmont, and he said it was every day consuming whatever calories, everything was strict diet, all this kind of stuff, training all the time. Was it a specific coach that challenged your identity, or was it yourself in a sense that had that thought of, is this what I need to be doing?
It it was super humbling in the fact that so when we wrap our identity, especially when we're really young, our front of our brain does not develop until we're like 25 years old. And that is like the thing that helps us realize like what's good for us, what's not good for us, when to stop doing something, when to put the screen down, all that kind of stuff. It's your frontal lobe, or frontal cortex, and understanding that like we get extremely into something, and if we don't have parents saying, "Hey, hold on, like that's consuming all of you, and that's too much." We want to impress. We want to do. We don't know when to put the brakes on. This is our emergency brake and the brakes system. I let it consume all of me. It was yes, sports became your identity. 4:30 in the morning, and if you missed the workout, not only you got punished for sleeping in, but the entire offensive line or the entire part of that team got punished.
Yeah.
And then you're getting hazed, and then you're getting all this different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of my identity was in that. No, yeah, coaches. I had some guys that were extremely difficult, not encouraging. They were handing out humble pie every day, and definitely had favorites and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I had the head coach would always call me Brian because I looked almost exactly like another guy named Brian that played like 2 years before that had already graduated. That was humble pie every day, and it was really
Yeah.
annoying. And it didn't matter how strong I was. I still can bench press well over 400 pounds. It didn't matter. Like
That's
physics,
insane. Yeah, it's insane.
and I'd have like the body frame for it. And it didn't matter though. Physics were so much more important than strength. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but so much of younger me in high school had wrapped my identity in all-star. Like, man, you were forced to be reckoned with. You were awesome. You've been told you're awesome. You've been celebrated for this. How does it not become part of your identity?
Yeah.
People
Oh yeah.
appreciate you for it, right? Hey, that's our Josh. That's our big guy, and it's like your identity, it forms. And if you don't have a parent looking out for you, trying to help you with that, it forms around you. And so separating from that identity that you formed for years is like divorce or death, right? It's like I'm killing a part of myself that I thought was so appreciated by everybody. What am I going to do now? Well,
Mm-hmm.
why would they appreciate me if I can't give this anymore? Who am I?
Yeah.
And then are they going to think I'm a failure? I never was what they said I was, and I'm an
Those are very
imposter.
real things. Yeah, like I'm guarantee those are very real things that people think about. I'm very fortunate where my parents, they would always not like challenge my thoughts, but they would give me questions. So I'm thinking about these things of where do you see yourself? Like I played hockey all my life, and they'd be like, all right, where do you kind of see yourself going? Do you want to pursue more the school route, or do you want to kind of pursue the hockey route? This is kind of where we think things are, but we want to hear your thoughts first. And so I'd share my thoughts, and like that's super important because like you talk about, it's your identity that kind of gets shaped when you hear all these different things. And
Yeah, and
so
you have to look back with a different perspective, especially if people don't tell younger people this. Firefighters, out of all of the first responders, firefighters have the highest suicide rate. And it's because they've dreamed about, guys that are firefighters have dreamed about it since they were children. Like
yeah.
they love to put a cape on and be able to run into a building and have no fear of what could happen to them. They're the most selfless people. But there are a lot of times they have really bad days. They are the first responders to see suicides. And you can't unsee a suicide. You can't
Mm-hmm.
unsee that. They're the first to respond to some tragic events. They're the first to respond to a fire. They're first, and then all of a sudden the truck gets stuck in the mud, or you know they got into an argument with somebody because they didn't do something by protocol or standard operating procedures, or just something happened and it was just really bad, and they're getting distracted by something else, and they don't want to be distracted. They want to be the hero. There's so much turmoil in their brain, and their identity is so wrapped in being the hero that a bad day is more than a bad day. It is an
Mm-hmm.
attack on their identity. When you attack somebody's identity, you're pulling them into a deep world that's hard to get out of. It's a pit.
And they're some of the
Um,
coolest people you'll ever meet too. Like these, like
and
you
most
said, they're
selfless. Yeah.
selfless. It's awesome. And so was
Yeah.
like music your um almost like coping mechanism in a sense to kind of deal with this identity crisis in a sense where football was a lot and then falling back to music was giving you that outlet. Like for me, when I deal with a lot of my anxiety and stress, music has always been an outlet for me. Was it the same for you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, fortunately, I had the ability to play and write music. Not everybody has that. I've actually got a friend. When AI started coming out making music, I was bothered by it. But then I have a I have a friend who is a wounded veteran he's experienced a ton of life and childhood trauma, all sorts of different stuff. I mean, the world did not hold back against him, and he started using AI to write and make songs to express exactly how he was feeling.
Really?
And yeah, and he does it weekly. His family would never know exactly how he felt. His friends would never know exactly how he felt until he was able to express it through music. And he feels it's healing for him. He
That's
feels
amazing.
heard. Yeah, it really is. And so I'm all for it. If somebody's
Yeah.
using that to express themselves and they don't have a musical gift, go for it. Like, we need a way to express ourselves.
What
Um,
website does that?
the one a lot of people use is called Suno, Suno.
Oh,
And there's like, just like Chat GPT, you have prompts and they'll guide you through those prompts. You pay your subscription and you choose your style of music, and you can really get really detailed with your prompts.
that's super
Um,
cool.
yeah, and make some really neat songs. And sometimes you can upload a demo, so like you can record something on your phone and then upload it to influence the song that
Huh.
way. So it's really cool. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy the amount of acceleration we'll see in the next 5 years with artificial intelligence. I don't know if everybody's prepared or understanding how much acceleration we will have.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
I believe in the next 5 years will be so amplified. Like, if we thought the Industrial Revolution was cool, the next 5 years will
Oh, this will be
blow.
insane. This is going to be
It'll
insane.
really be insane, Drew. It'll be a giant wave moving so fast, and
Hmm.
people, I don't know if they're completely ready for it yet. So, um,
But I'm
so
super glad
you know,
your buddy found that outlet. Like, that's
yeah,
awesome. And I'm
yeah,
glad that you did too.
yeah. Well, I also had to look though who was mentoring me and who my friends were, because those are two really, really, really important things. Um, not somebody just to validate my feelings of, Josh, yeah, you're right, everybody's wrong. No, because I can't always be right. There's no way I am. My wife reminds me all the time. And so it was also looking at things too of, I'm not downing schools, but like, I'm trying to figure out which business professor owned the multi-million-dollar company. I'm trying to figure out which coach was in the NFL. I'm trying to figure out, and not even just being like that, just poking real hard, but look at the divorce rates for coaches from high school all the way through the NFL. It's
Look at the
terrible.
Michigan coach that just happened.
Exactly. He gave up millions and millions and millions of dollars in an incredible career, probably the best job in college football for that.
Yeah.
Now, the truth is, we're all one stupid decision away from that. There's nothing that separates us from that man. It just got right in front of him.
Hmm.
And most people will never have that opportunity to commit adultery. Many will, and I think life is very, very, very tricky. We can't sit on a judgment seat and say, "Man, what an idiot." We have to say, "I am chief of sinners." And I am capable. I'm completely capable of that. So what am I going to do to put up guardrails, right? So the guardrails are like on the edge of the cliff before you even get to the edge of the cliff, right? They're
Hmm.
about 6 to 10 feet away. Guardrails we can bump into, like, oop, oopsie. Not that I do that. I've never actually hit a guardrail, but I imagine if I know some drivers, you know, um, I can't even name people, but I know some drivers that probably have hit many guardrails.
Oh yeah, I could think of
And
a few at the top of my head.
yeah, I'm like looking at their car. I'm like, I know you hit guardrails. So the guardrails are such graceful things of like, they were put there to keep us from going even close to the edge. Because when you go close to the edge, the odds of you going over the edge they get worse and worse and worse the more you drive. And then sometimes you're driving at night and you can't see very well. Sometimes you're driving through fog. Sometimes our judgment is very cloudy.
Yeah.
Sometimes our emotions get in the driver's seat. Sometimes, whatever it might be, we don't know what all you'll be facing in your future. Some people have some things that showed up in their life that they never imagined would happen to them. And so I like to think that some people, I have grace for everybody. I like to think, oh, they're probably medicated and that's why they can't drive. Or they're probably having a terrible day or this. So that I don't sit in the judgment seat myself. But that I also know that I am capable of just as much as they are, but I put up the guardrails to never get there. I'm extremely honest with my wife. There's nothing that I don't share. And some people are like, oh, that's dangerous. No,
Yeah.
no, we've had the maturity to be able to walk through things. It's how I share things and all that different stuff. And sometimes it's ripping off a Band-Aid. Some things are really hard to hear, but we're extremely honest because we know that like those things that are unshared can turn into something completely different. So that's kind of where we've gotten in our relationships.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're an extremely thoughtful person, and you really look within to be able to understand yourself and understand others. And I'd love to know, for me, I find that I can visualize things. Like when I listen to music, I can imagine different things and I can visualize them. Where I know some people, like if you say, "Hey, can you think about a red apple?" Like, can you picture a like red apple? Like if you close your eyes, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm always curious about this because I think people in the music industry and like other creative spaces, they can visualize those things. And I was wondering for yourself, when you're creating music, where do you visualize yourself? And where do you see the music coming? Like when it comes to you, how do you picture yourself when you're writing it, singing it, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. For me, sometimes, writing has to be something that if you're serious about songwriting, it has to be done so much. If you've ever talked to a successful songwriter, they write so many songs because even the ones that are the most successful, it was like one of every 3 or 4 or 5,000 songs they wrote were like chart topping, or one of every 2 songs in their whole career.
Yeah.
Um, and think about it, that's their whole job, and two things they made succeeded. You can imagine going to work every day and only 2 things you ever did succeeded. Most people would quit. Most people
On
would
the
quit
spot.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and you're never done. There's always another song to write. And so, um, for me, it's not even just writing the songs that I think are going to be chart toppers. This wasn't this wasn't even my idea of doing music at 38 years old, 37 years old. My wife's 38, and it wasn't my idea to do this. It wasn't my idea to think, label and all that kind of stuff. I think part of me thinks that was God's idea. I don't think I'm the greatest. I'm not my favorite singer. My wife's my favorite singer, and I've got some friends that are my favorite singers. They're incredible. I've got some bands that I love. This isn't because I'm not doing this because I love to hear myself sing, and I think that everybody else should love it too. I'm writing songs that I need to hear. I still do. The song that I wrote with Sean is what I needed to hear and still need to hear all the time. Roses, that we just released, was a song that I needed to hear over and over and over again, that we don't get to be here very long, and to
Yeah.
not let these stupid little petty arguments be the thing that keeps me from experiencing another day of marriage. And, you know, things can happen. Spouses can pass away. I just had uh, my neighbor passed away last year,
I'm sorry to hear
and
that.
she left behind two kids, and that left a mark. A good friend of mine that was one of the mentors that I had in college just passed away this week. And
Sorry.
his youngest son just graduated high school and is like a top recruit in the country. He's going to play quarterback at Liberty,
Awesome.
and just lost his dad. Like it, we
But very tough.
are
Yeah.
not guaranteed. Yeah, we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Hmm.
Um, and so
Do all these
it's
memories go through your head when you're writing these songs?
yeah,
And like the
because
closest
you have
people
to.
to you go through your head as well?
Yeah, and then also I want to feel like when I'm the most sober-minded, how do I feel about my wife? When I'm the most sober-minded, how do I feel about like life in general? Not when I'm angry, not when I'm, you know, on a high of something got me really excited because I got some success. I got a taste of success. No, when I was really sober-minded, how did I feel and what did I need to hear? Roses was that when these are songs that I want my children to hear, that their favorite songs are everything that we put out, and there's a lot of songs that people may never hear that we put out. That kids are like, these are the things that they echo in their minds all the time, and so I'm writing with like, what do I need to hear? Because lyrics are extremely, extremely important.
Hmm.
And so, melodies are great, and they're needed to have a successful song, but their lyrics are really, really important. So I'm writing with that in mind of like, how can the song make a difference and not just be a great song? Yes, I can capture the emotion behind it. Yes, I can capture what it sounds like when you're thinking this way or in this mindset, but the lyrics, are really important. And Sean and I've got a good writing process that we do for that.
Which is absolutely incredible. I gotta ask, like, how when you were first starting to like learn different kinds of instruments and learn how to really write songs, was there ever a part of you like, hey, I don't know if this is for me, or was there ever a part
It's
that's like, maybe I should be doing something like different and expressing myself
every day.
every day? Yeah.
Seriously, songwriting is very hard. Every day, sometimes you just write the worst song, and then you show the band. The band's like, nope. You spend all this time doing something, and everybody shows you how many warts are on the thing that you just created. Um, Songwriting and being a musician is not for the faint of heart. Owning a business and investing all of yourself into something that not everybody will appreciate, it'll challenge everything. But that's
Mhm.
why, like, the reason we do it is not because everybody's going to love it and appreciate it. We have to find our audience. In
Yeah.
business, you have to find your people. In music, you have to find your audience. Um, it's not going to be for everybody, but there are millions and millions and millions and millions of people on this planet.
Mhm.
You can find your audience. You can find your people.
How did you find the right people, even just for your own band?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm just like building a company. Sean Monahan was like the greatest guitarist and musician around, in my opinion. The dude is incredible at so much in producing music and writing music, and man, he's not in like one box of one genre of like one thing. Like he is just so well rounded. So that was step one, is like, hire to your weaknesses. Well, like everybody's weak compared to what he's able to do. So it's like, that was a no brainer. And then my brother-in-law plays guitar with us, and he's got an
Awesome.
incredible heart, and he's got great tone, and some awesome guitars and stuff like that. Um, and, um, and then our drummer is just a awesome guy named Rodney, who's been playing forever and ever, and just loves drums, and he's so great at them.
How'd you get in
Um,
touch with like Sean and your drummer? Was it like hey, like we're looking for people, or were you guys at a bar and you're like, hey, or Sean was like, hey, can I be a guitarist for you guys?
Yeah. Sean and I met at like another event. I think somebody else was telling me like, "Hey, that's Sean Monahan. He's like really good at guitar. You guys should be friends. You should hang out with him. And I was like, all right, hey, I heard you play music. We gotta jam sometime. Sometimes that works,
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't. We
Yeah.
were young enough that we're in close enough proximity. We went to different schools, but we were in close enough proximity that it did work out. Um, and
Gotcha.
anybody who knows me knows I'll shoot my shot. Like, I'm never afraid to like approach somebody or ask for something. The worst they can say is no.
Exactly. That's a
Um,
good lesson to live by.
yes, and so then drummers are hard to come by. We have two great friends that play with us, and Rodney's just happens to be he's incredible. He actually was like the one that inspired the other guy that's played with us as well, Lance.
Nice.
And you want people that are available. It's very hard to put a band together because you usually only have like one person who is like extremely committed, and then everybody
Yeah.
else is like just kind of there to hang out. It's so incredible when you have people that are just all so committed.
Hmm.
That is such a joy. Rodney's extremely committed. Sean is super committed. John is always makes himself available. And then we get some friend Abdiel plays keys with us every once in a while. He's
Sweet.
one of the best keys players and jazz musicians around, and he's so celebrated for that.
When you
And
say it's
then
hard to find drummers, is it just because there's just not many around, or it's just like so hard to
good
pick up?
ones.
Mm,
Drums are very hard. Drums are very, very hard. Yeah. And it's like you can get somebody who can keep time, but can you get somebody who can keep time and do some stuff that's really unique and fun and great? Like it's like their limitation is also your band's limitation. And
yeah.
then our bass player, he's our bass player because he's just such a great friend. He's really a guitarist, but he's stepping in on bass just because we love to hang out and spend time together. And
Nice.
and so yeah.
That's so cool. How did you guys get your first gig? And then how did you guys progress from there to getting a label? Because I think it's so cool when I think about um, bands and how they develop over time. Like one of my teammates, his mom saw Imagine Dragons, who's my favorite band, at a local bar one day. And now obviously they are the people that they are. And this was years ago that they were just performing at a bar. Now they're here today. And I love to kind of like hear your guys' story about how you guys got that first gig and then kind of stuck with it to get those connections to now a label.
Yeah. Back when we first started playing music, it was um, one of our favorite venues to play at. It's called All and Dog Green. There's a dentist
That
here in
sounds like a
town.
cool venue.
It really is. There's a dentist who loves music and live music, and
Yeah.
so he got this place started called All and Dog Green, which is a um, um, called On Dog Green. It is like a barn jam. Like it is like you're in the woods, bring your own chair,
Nice.
BYOB, all that kind of stuff. Lots of great, loud sound equipment and a sound guy and a pizza oven that they build out there. It looks like a big ant mound. And went out there and you play a 45-minute set and there's music every Wednesday night and there's like 4 or 5 bands that play. And that was our first opportunity, and it's become one of our favorite places to go back every year, at least once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And so encouraging. And then that guy got us some other gigs, from that event. And then, with getting the sign with the label, it was that we had to put our money where our mouth was, and we had to start recording music by paying for it ourselves. And so we hired a mixing and mastering engineer, and got into a studio and started working really hard on that. And then
Wow.
the attention of somebody said, I think there's even more to you. So
That's
that's
super
kind of
cool.
transpired. Yeah.
And what is it like working with a label then? Is it, hey, we love a song at, we'd love to hear like your next song. Hopefully you guys have a new one in the next like few months. And then like we'll do all the promotion for you guys. We'll try and get you guys distributed, all that kind of stuff. Or what does that process entail?
It's like, hey, we need you to write 50 songs, and then we're
Oh,
going to tell you, yeah, and then we're going to tell you like what is good. And
oh,
so then they choose which song gets cut. They choose um, all that different stuff, and they've got heavy influence on a lot of that. Sean still produces the songs, but they have a heavy influence on that. They take care of distribution, but we're also responsible for a lot of the marketing and promotion as well.
And do you guys get signed for like a certain amount of like years then? And then
Yes,
they
it's
can
a
either choose to like
2 year.
renew it and then go forward?
Yep. Yeah, so it was a 2 year commitment, a certain amount of songs that had a certain face value, and so it doesn't mean that we get paid or anything like that up front or any of that stuff. It just means that the cost of recording and promotion and distribution, all that stuff's covered.
That's so cool. What
Yeah,
are these conversations like with your wife and kids about this I guess, like life that you have? Because you have the jewelry business, and I love to kind of get into how you started that. But then you also have the label as well. So you're rocking on multiple different avenues. What are the
right,
conversations like with your wife to, you know, have that shared time together, have that shared time with your kids and all these responsibilities that you may have, but also balance both the business and the label?
right. Number one, I always go back to my faith. We're God centric, number one, which is like He's the center of everything. And then number two, we're family centric. So um, it's God, marriage, family. So marriage being number two, family number three. We've counted the cost of what these things are. Um, the work that I do in the jewelry business, the marketing, and the music, all is extremely flexible. So I think I was explaining to you earlier. I worked all night last night. So my hours are my hours. I'm office in my house that I work out of. So I'm able to, like, tonight I'll go coach my son's baseball team, and you
Nice.
know lunch in the dining room with my wife, and you know everything is extremely flexible so that they don't have to pay for how much time I spend doing these things.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
awesome.
yeah, we're very cognizant of it. Are we perfect in it? No. Do we say no to some really cool opportunities because it doesn't make sense for the family? Yes. So that's a big part of that.
Gotcha. Hey everyone, want to take a quick second and say thank you to whoever listened to the episode today. I really do appreciate it and it means a lot. If you did like the episode, make sure to give it a like or 5-star rating depending on what platform you are listening to. And if you really want to support the show, check out our website or Patreon link below. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the next episode.